So, Grayson, do you remember a day back in February of 2021?
Oh gosh, that was a while ago.
When we started this series?
Honestly, not really.
Well... Hey everybody, I'm Evan.
I'm Grayson.
And here we are with our series where we count down our top 3 games for every letter of the alphabet. And guess what? We're finally at the last letter.
What's the last letter again?
What? Do you remember?
Oh, Z, that's right.
Yeah. So here we are. After all this time, we're at our Z's. So who wants to go first?
I'll do it.
What? Okay.
Because, my number 3 is Rock Garden, which doesn't start with a Z.
Wait a minute.
But it's because it's technically also Zen Garden.
Okay.
It's just like a bit more complicated.
Okay, so I should explain. There is a game called Zen Garden, but it has 2 modes in it that use the same components.
One is just Zen Garden, the other is Rock Garden.
You got tricky with this. All right, but you don't like the Zen Garden part. You only like the Rock Garden part.
It's not like I don't like Zen Garden. I just like Rock Garden more because there's just more to it.
That's so funny. All right, well, explain what you're doing in Rock Garden.
Okay, so in Zen Garden, but Rock Garden, what you do is you place down tiles.
Little square tiles.
And then you use like the back side of those tiles to then place cubes on the tiles with the pattern that's on them.
Right, one side shows like a terrain type, the other side shows a pattern and some other information too.
Which you have to make like a pattern out of that. And then you place the cubes on there.
Okay.
And then after that... Oh, actually, no. To place the cubes, you had to have like a certain group of one type. Yes,
it's a slightly complicated process, a multi-step process.
Yes.
In order to score to score.
You first place the tile. Then once there's like a certain amount of like the same tile in a group, you place down cubes onto there. And then you use the patterns on the other side to then score the points. If as long as you have a cube in that pattern.
It sounds more complicated than it is. When you're really playing it works fine.
Yes.
Okay, well, why is that your number 3?
Again, I think it beats out the other Zen Garden because
other Zen Garden. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm saying the Zen Garden that the Zen Garden that's within Rock Garden is within.
Okay.
I think it beats that out because it's just like there's more depth to it. It's like a bit more like interesting. And also, I mean, there isn't much else to pick.
Okay, yeah, so I guess we forgot to mention that we own 4 games to start with Z.
Yeah.
And we've played 5. But the one that we don't own, we played a long time ago and barely remember anything.
But I mean, it's still fun.
Okay. So my number 3 is Zen Garden. But not that Zen Garden. The other Zen Garden. Funny story, we own 2 games that are called Zen Garden.
It's really goofy.
So the one that he's talking about is the Lookout Games one. I think that's who it is, Lookout Games. And then the one I'm talking about is the Queen game called Zen Garden.
It also has like a bunch of numbers attached to it.
Okay, that's because because you're talking about Board Game Geek. Because in Board Game Geek, they have to differentiate...
Yeah,
because it has the exact same title. That's why there's numbers after it. Yeah. It officially does not have that. That's just for the Board Game Geek database. So anyway, there's another game called Zen Garden.
Yes.
In this game, it's a pretty simple tile like drafting game where you're drafting a bunch of tiles with not patterns, but like backgrounds, like terrains.
Backgrounds, paths, and little
like features or whatever.
Items on them.
Yeah. So and then you're just arranging them on your board for scoring purposes. It's pretty simple.
Well,
however,
I mean, it's as simple as you want it to be.
That's the thing, right? So there is like a temple like at the top with like scoring objectives.
And you can make this temple as tall as you want it.
So you make it super easy where there's only a couple of different things you have to think about to score. like the most of like a certain terrain.
Like I mean, the bottom temple at least has the most stuff on it because you have to play with the bottom one.
Right, but then you can add layers, and every layer adds another. Like
you can go all the way up to 5 layers.
Right, so it adds at least one, sometimes multiple other considerations for scoring. So if you add all the layers, there's like
much more complicated.
There's like 10 or 12 different things you have to think about when you're drafting the tiles.
And I mean, you get more points.
You do,
but it's hard.
But you really got to consider what tile you want that's going to get you to those scoring things. So, we've played it at the highest level
and at the
lowest level. So I think maybe there's a better balance of a mixture of levels, ideally, but it's still fun, right? It's still fun drafting this, making the paths, because you get points for paths, you get points for like the features in the rows and all this stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I like that one better than the other Zen Garden. But however, I think I like Zen Garden in the other one better than Rock Garden, because I think Zen Garden is a simpler game. It's a more casual game. I think I like that for the one that you were talking about.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's my number 3, Zen Garden. The Queen games, Zen Garden.
My number 2 is Zolaro.
Okay.
It's a fun game.
Yeah.
Basically, you place animals down on your board.
Well, okay, there's a classic drafting mechanism that has not been used a lot, I don't think.
You pull you pull like animal tokens, or it could be pavilions or whatever, or money and you put them on like these 3 like trucks.
Correct.
And they each have 3. Well, I mean, they each have 3 slots on them.
Yes.
And then on your turn, you can either choose to take a truck or pull from the bag.
Yep.
Or also do a money action, but that's different.
Yeah, there's some other actions, but yes.
And so the trick to it is do you want to get another one and place it there, or do you want to take one so that other people don't take it? Right.
So that's the core decision of the game. Do I place a new tile, or do I take all the tiles on one of the trucks?
And then you want certain animals, and so you can put them in your pens.
So then you're building a zoo with enclosures, and you have to have all the same type of animal in the enclosures. Yeah.
And also like the pavilions or whatever they're called, the kiosks.
Kiosks, yep.
That you also get, and then there's also money to do money actions where you like move around your animals, like swap some species, and then you also have to pay $3 to expand your zoo, which gives you another little area.
Yep.
And then there's like a crap ton of expansions.
There is.
Yes.
Maybe we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But at its core, it's pretty simple. The base game, not adding in any of the extra stuff. Okay. That was your number 2?
Yep.
Okay. Well, my number 2 is a card game about penguins. And that's called Zany Penguins.
Oh, yeah. I actually completely forgot about that one.
Did you, though? All right. So, it's a card-like set collection game, right? With cards with numbers on it. With goofy-looking penguins, and like they have different backgrounds. Essentially, I think they call it zones, but whatever. It's just a different colored background. So, and it has a really clever type gameplay where you have to pass a card to each of your neighbors.
Yes.
Okay, that's how you start the round from your hand of cards.
And then you get you get 2 cards from your neighbors.
Yeah, so then you're also receiving cards from your neighbors. I imagine it probably doesn't work with 2 players. There might be a variant for 2 players. But anyway. Yeah. So, and then then after that's done, you play a card in front of you. Okay? And then you're trying to get the majority of the different zones.
So you're trying to get the majority, but you only are going to score of that majority. You're only going to score that majority of what's left in your hand.
Correct. That is true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Because even if you win the majority, if you have nothing in your hand, you just didn't get any points.
Right. So you have to hold some back And then, but it's also all in open information, so you're seeing what other players are going for. So not only do you not want to pass them the type of card they need, you want to make sure that you're winning the zones that you're trying to win. And
you don't want to pass those cards to other people either, because then you're just losing points.
So I think it's a really clever little game. And that's my number 2.
My number 1 is the other Zen Garden.
Is it really? You didn't pick Zany Penguins?
I said I completely forgot about that one.
I thought you'd be okay.
Yeah, it's a great tile laying game. I like it a lot. It's fun because like it's complicated, but it's also simple.
Yeah,
in a way,
it's essentially simple.
But then
all you're doing is drafting a tile, like off of a board with
it gets very complicated when like I need a pink stone path.
With
bench.
With a specific feature on it. We forgot to mention that there is actually money, like a money track in the game.
Yeah, which the money, because there's like a bar, like I guess like basically you have to pay money to get the higher ones,
depending on where and
then the higher ones drop down.
Yeah.
And also when you like make a row or like a column of like a single
feature,
you get like $3.
Yeah, so if you burn all your money out, you can only take the ones that are free on the board, which can
hurt,
which can screw you up. So you always money converts to points at the end of the game.
Yeah, so the more money you have, the more points you will have.
Yeah. So okay, I don't know that there's anything else we need to say about that one.
Nah, it's fun. It's fun.
That was your number 1, huh? Okay, well my number 1 is Zolaro.
Yeah,
you don't like this as much as me for some reason.
I don't know.
I wanted to mention the drafting mechanism. I think it came from a game called Coloretto, which we also own because it's like the same.
Isn't it? It's made by the same.
It is. It's the same designer. It's just like I think he took Coloretto and then expanded it into a full board game.
Yes.
But also this drafting exists in Comic Hunters too. Like there's a draft like that in there.
Yeah.
And those are the only other games I've seen this type of draft in.
But I mean, it works.
Where you either like take a pile or add one to a pile.
Yeah.
Right. So I really enjoyed this game. This would probably be in my top games of all time somewhere because I've always enjoyed this, and we've played this game for a long time. It was an early purchase in our board gaming career, I guess you want to say, because like me and you played that when you were really young, and then we played it off and on over the years. And then yes, as mentioned before, there are a lot of expansions. So I spent a lot of these years collecting those expansions because they're all way out of print.
I mean, so there's a few main ones. Like
correct.
There's one
3 box expansions.
Yes, they add one adds one adds like jungle animals like with a extra like jungle exhibit part. There's another one that adds like workers in like a office building area. And then there's another one that adds just like another like a smaller expansion.
So there's one of them adds the ability to sell the animal or like donate the animals to clear your enclosures to get more animals. And there's visitors that get added. And then there is a ton of like promo expansions that add like
there's the corners.
Yeah, like
which
because it's like a big puzzle. So like if you get all of the expansions, you kind of complete the puzzle.
Yeah, but we actually are missing one that doesn't do that.
I think I may be missing more than that, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. Well, but they're hard to find, and some of you have to get from Germany and blah blah blah.
Which expensive.
I know there is a new printing of the game, but I imagine it does not have any of those expansions in it.
No.
I don't think it probably has any of them. It's just the base game. But yeah, I really enjoy Zolaro. I have a great time with that. I will play that game anytime. Even if it's just the base game with the simple drafting or the complex one where you have visitors and workers and
because it does make it longer.
It does, but I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I think it adds a lot of complexity that gives you more options when you're playing. So I don't know. I have a good time with however we play it.
Okay.
That's my number 1, Zolaro. And that's it.
Yep.
We're all out of letters.
Yeah.
No more letters. What are we going to do? Well, so, have you enjoyed doing this series, Grace?
Yeah.
Over the past 3 years. It took us 3 years.
Yeah, it definitely took us a little longer than
I did not expect this game, this video series to last 3 years. But, you know, things happen and, you know, other things, whatever. It is what it is, right? So, however, there is one more special episode coming.
Yes.
And that is going to be something that you're going to want to watch out for because it's going to be fun.
Yep.
So, I guess that wraps up this episode. And, well, I guess we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
I don't know the next letter. I'm sorry.
Oh. There is none. So, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Do you think our next video series should be our least favorite games for every letter of the alphabet?
That'd be so ridiculous. The issue with the Z's is that they would also be the same. Like, most of
But it'd be in the opposite order, though. Sounds good, right?
And it'd be funny if we went from Z to A.
See, now you're thinking. Let me write that down.